Okay, so now let's take a look at the settings panel. So to get the settings panel, what you need to do is click on this settings sidebar over here, and that'll toggle the settings panel here on the right. And the settings have two components to it. The first tab is related to the post settings, and the second tab is related to the block setting. Now the block setting will change depending on the block that you've selected, whereas the post setting won't change because it's the settings for the full post. So for example, right now we have no block selected, so there's no block settings, but watch what happens when I select a heading block. Now we see that the block tab is populated with some heading settings, right? But these are going to be different from some image settings. So here in the headings, for example, I can change the text color and give it a background. But if I go to the image here, we can see that the settings are different. I now have some styles that I can apply to the image, for example, okay? We'll go into some block settings, some specific block settings in future. We won't go through all of them, but we'll go through a few of them. So the first thing we're going to do is take a look at the post settings, and we'll go ahead and look at everything tab by tab. So let's first open up the summary tab. In the summary tab, we see that the first element we have is visibility, and we've seen this before, but basically it allows us to control how our post is viewed in the front end. So it could be public, it could be private to only admins, it could be password protected, and there's also a fourth option, which is to switch to a draft. So if I click it here and I click on OK, and we can see that if I go to the front end, for example, here, I refresh, or rather, I'll just refresh page. We see that there's nothing here, okay? So I just went to the main page, okay? Now, if I were to publish the post again and I refresh, we can see that the post comes back. I can click on the post and we can actually see our post in the front end. Next, we have the publish element here, which we've seen before. We can allow our post to be scheduled, okay? We're gonna leave it here for now, so it goes immediately. Next, we have the URL of our post. So this is how users can find our post, or rather it's gonna be the link where our post can be accessed. Next, we have a post format that I keep at standard. Feel free to mess around with the other templates or formats. And then you can actually change the author of the post. In this case, there's only one user, so only Dilson appears. Oh, and then you can move your post to trash as well if need be. And that's everything with the summary section here. Next here we have the revisions. Let me just update. Next here we have the revisions tab. And what this is essentially is going back to all the changes that you've made. So here I have a slider. If I go back, it'll say what changes I've made. It's not visual, but you can read here and see the changes that I've changed actually the style of the image. Here it wasn't configured before. Now I've configured it to default. Beforehand, I can see that I removed this block here, that I added some columns here, that I added some paragraphs. I've added some buttons, so you can actually see what I've done here. Now, if I want to go back to the changes I've made, and you can see above here the dates that I made a change, I can click on this button, restore this revision, and it'll take me back to the post at that point in time. We're not going to do that just now because I like the changes I've made so far. And we're going to continue with the settings. Next, we're going to take a look at the categories tab here. Now, basically what categories are simply just that. They're a category, but I want to kind of explain when you would use a category and when you would use a tag, because some people might be having questions about the difference between a category and a tag. Now, let's say that the category represents a parent sort of topic that you want things to be under. If in this case, we're talking about SEO, a parent category could be digital marketing. So I can either create it here in the post directly, or I can go here to the category section here, refresh. That might happen sometimes, don't worry. And I can actually create a new category. So in this case, I'll put digital marketing, and the slug is just gonna be what appears at the end of the URL. I'm just gonna say digital marketing. It has no parent category, and I'm gonna leave the description blank, and I'm gonna add the category. So now I have digital marketing. I could also have another category, for example, that says social media, for example. Social media management, for example, or just social media. Now I could give the parent category here of digital marketing, but for this, I just want to keep it super duper simple. and just leave it there. And let's see, what's another example I could use to facilitate this. I'm gonna do something somewhat unrelated just to really bring the point home and say dogs, for example, okay? Just to show you what I really mean. So now we've created these 3 categories: digital marketing, social media, and dogs. They're not related. This is just for teaching purposes. So what I can do now, if I went back to my post and I click on edit, so SEO has to do with digital marketing. So I can come here and I can assign it to digital marketing, okay? And remove uncategorized. I can update it, and then I can click on view the post. And then when I scroll down, I should have some metadata here categorized as digital marketing. Okay, we can see that below it's been categorized as digital marketing. And if I was a user, I can come down here and I can see all the categories that exist for the posts, okay? Now, let's say I quickly created another post, just super duper quickly, and I use ChatGPT. Make a blog post about, let's say sales funnels. Keep it 2 sentences max. Okay, I have a title, so I'll get that. Okay, come down here, copy, paste that. I'm also going to give it a category of digital marketing, okay? So now if I were to refresh the front end, for example, if I were to just go to the home page, I can see that I have 2 posts here, okay? I'm going to create even one more just to really bring it home. And this time it's going to be about social media. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and copy that. I'm going to paste it here, go back, copy, and then paste. This time I'm going to give it a different category under social media and then publish that. Okay. So now if I were to refresh the front end, we can see that we're going to have all our posts here, because in the home page, it has all the posts here. So we see we have the social media tag here with this post, the digital marketing one, and the second digital marketing one here. Now, if I click on categorize as digital marketing, we will not see this unleashing the power of social media post. So I'll click on that. Category digital marketing, and we can see that we do not see the social media post there. We can see in the widgets down here, the 2 categories. Now, the thing is, with tags, you can become even more specific. For example, a good tag to have would be SEO, which is a part of digital marketing, right? Sales funnels is also a part of digital marketing. So you can go here to the tag section, create a tag called sales funnels, like this. And then you can have another tag that says SEO. And then effectively, you'll go to the post. So here, I'm going to go to edit the SEO post. I'm going to give it that tag, SEO. Same with the other one, the funnels. I'm going to edit. Categories is fine. I'm going to go to here. I'm going to write sales, and the rest should appear. Sales funnels, update. So now when I go back to the front end and I refresh, I can now see that they have this tagged element as well. Okay, so I can be even more specific when I look at websites that could have, hundreds of posts. If I just want to see something specific, like within digital marketing, I just want to see everything with the tag sales funnels. We see we only get 1 post back. Another way you could think about this, if that's a little confusing, just to make it simpler, you could say that the category is dogs, okay, which is really big because there's many breeds of dogs. And then a tag, you could have like German Shepherd. I don't know if it's spelled with an A. You could have German Shepherd, for example, and you can have Husky. Okay, that's just for an example, but dogs is the parent, and then beneath it you have the breeds, which was German Shepherd and Husky. So if you're only interested in content related to Huskies, all the posts related to Huskies would get brought back to you and not just the whole dogs category. Okay, so I just did that to make it very easy to understand, but the digital marketing one is more relevant for our course. So I'm just going to delete those categories and tags. but hopefully now you know the difference between them. This uncategorized category is here by default, by the way. We didn't create that. And I think that's pretty much all there is to categories and tags. Let's continue with this settings. Okay, so we've seen categories, we've seen tags, we have our featured image. Now, featured image is essentially the image that you see that appears when you do a Google search or when you embed something. So for example, if I search here for on Google Huskies, you see these images that come here to the right. These are the featured images of these websites, okay? Search engines definitely favored posts and articles and websites with featured images, okay? So we can go ahead and add that. We have an SEO one here, so we'll set the featured image there. We'll actually see that it'll appear in the post when we view it. So let me view that. You see the first image here, that's our featured image. And if I go back to the front end, we should see the featured image here as well with an excerpt. Okay, so this is not the full blog. It just has a little excerpt here. Then we can click on continue reading and it'll bring us to the full post, okay? I'm aware it's quite large, don't worry. This is just for teaching purposes. Okay, so let's go back. After featured image, we have our excerpt here, which is the little bit of text that you saw before the person clicks on the post, okay? Same when you have a search here. This bit of text here is the excerpt, so it doesn't show you the full, doesn't have the full text, but it's to kind of hook you in, okay? And that's good to have as well. Same here with Notion. When you do a bookmark, here's just the excerpt. This is the title, this is the link, this is the featured image. So these things are quite important, especially if you want to make a blog or when people want to reference your website. Lastly, we have the discussions tab. This allows for comments, which is down here. If I click on the post, it's the comment box down here. Okay. Like we said, comments are good to have on posts because it increases interaction of your page, and search engines like that. And then allow pingbacks and trackbacks. This has to relate more to the connection between people referring to your website and you referring to their website. Beyond the scope of this course, you can untick this if you don't want people referring to it, but it's beyond the scope of the course. Feel free to do additional research on it. But this is all the post settings.